Welcome to the Sift. My name's Nathan Elder, just my friend Jeff Holzclaw. We're just two Christian guys having honest conversations, sorting through life from a biblical perspective. We're glad that you're here. Always a seat at the table for you. And, yeah. So, good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Nathan.
Yeah.
What are we, episode 3? What's on the agenda?
Yeah, man. Listening. Listening. Listen.
I got you.
No, man. So, yeah, today we're going to talk about listening, and who knows where the conversation will go. Again, just before we even jump in, let me say this. I know as we're going through this episode and we're sharing some of the things that we've learned, some of the things we've experienced in life, there will be things that come to mind for you, and you will want to say, oh, I wish I could tell them this. Well, you absolutely can. You can put it in the comments below and add it to the conversation. And so we would love to hear your thoughts. Well, man, where do we want to start? Where do you want to kick this thing off?
Well, first I thought is, well, why are we even having a lesson on listening? We're both men. Men normally just listen.
I know,
like straight away, right? I mean, I think we're going to waste a half hour of our life, and everybody's watching, especially if it's men, right? We got this.
Right.
Just ask my wife.
I love it.
And no, I really thought, this is good because I'm horrible at it. We are talkers. We have podcasts. You're a preacher.
Yeah. Don't hold it against me.
Yeah. We're talkers. We're also men. We want to. We always want to. Man, as soon as my wife starts talking about an issue, I'm already on to the solution.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's not good. So I'm very interested in this listening, and so I'm interested in it because I know I need to deepen my listening response.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, and I think that that impulse that we have as guys is absolutely there. Those stereotypes hold for a reason, but let's go to Proverbs, and I know from Proverbs and some of the principles there about listening, it's just going to branch out all over the place, and who knows where we'll wind up. But one of the things that Proverbs says, and if you've read Proverbs, if you've read through it a couple times, if not, you've probably even heard this somewhere along the way, is that wise people listen. When you read through the Proverbs and even other places in the Bible, what you find is that wisdom is something that's received, not something like manufactured. Wisdom is something that you receive. And so we receive it from listening to the Lord. We receive it from wise counsel. We receive it from those kinds of places. But it's not something that we just kind of come up with on our own and manufacture. We learn it by listening and receiving it. Let me read a couple of verses from Proverbs chapter 18, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. It says, Jeff takes no pleasure in listening, but only in expressing his opinion. No, a fool takes no pleasure in listening.
That was a good substitution.
Yeah. but so let's just talk about that, right? It says a fool takes no pleasure in understanding or in listening. He just wants to air his opinion. That idea, he doesn't take any pleasure. There's no delight in listening to another person and trying to understand. Why? Why doesn't a fool want to listen? What makes it hard to listen sometimes, and what keeps us from listening?
Well, in my case, it'd be pride. I think, well, I know this. I'm not listening to anything you say because I know this. I ain't got time for this. I know the answer to it. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Which is never true. It's never true.
It might be true sometimes. There might be times where you're like, I know this already.
And you sent out these notes, said, hey, we're going to talk about listening. And so this last week, I'm thinking about that. And I was trying to categorize, as I do a lot of things in life. And maybe this isn't right, but I think of things in 3 orders, primarily on everything. What does it mean to listen to God? What does it mean to listen to my family? What does it mean to listen to coworkers and friends? I lump coworkers and friends because when you're old like me, your friends are the people you work with, right? It's who you have proximity to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have really good friends that I've worked with. I've been blessed. And I group them in 3 different categories, right? So that response I just told you that, hey, I don't want to hear that. I pray that I'm never that way with God.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been, right? Not so blatantly, I got it. But by my actions and my stiff-necked, I'm that.
Yeah.
At least and I'm sure I still am. And it's clouded over to me. I'm sure I'm still that way with God. And that is unsad.
Yeah.
So I try to look at it in those 3 pockets. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think each of those relationships have a different dynamic, and God always at the top and should overshadow all of that, right? But there comes time down in the business world where you may not have time to listen to some ideas, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong there, because I think listening is this great key to moving forward. But I am not, if I'm certain on something, I'm not good at other tangent ideas that take us off course. And I probably give it short shift.
Okay.
Which,
well, I think there's, just at the, honestly, I think at kind of at the heart of what you're talking about, at least as I'm listening, is the idea that we just get busy. I want to move on to the next thing. I'm distracted. And so what passage in the Bible talks about somebody who's busy and not listening? I know that people are like, oh, you're talking about Mary and Martha. You're talking about Mary and Martha.
yeah.
And there's this instance where, in Luke chapter 10, I believe, where Jesus is there.
Stabbed me.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the wounds of a friend are faithful, man. So, but I'm stabbing myself too. And I think there are times where I'm just busy or distracted. Honestly, many times I think I'm busy with things that are pretty inconsequential. Like I'm busy with the news, or I'm busy scrolling, or I'm busy with something I want to do.
You know what you just did?
Listening.
You continue on with that after I interrupt you. That 3-pot, God, family, friends.
Yeah.
That I kind of had them separate with that siding of Mary and Martha. You blew that up, because Mary and Martha, friends, family, but God was rolled into it, and that God should be in He should permeate all 3 of those. And I know He does, but for some reason I segment that. So you just kind of destroyed my grouping process.
Well, but I appreciate the way you said that God is present in all of that stuff.
Yes.
And I was talking to a very dear friend just recently, and they were talking to a family member, and it was not an easy conversation. And anyway, in the midst of that, he's telling me, this is how, this is what happened. This is what I said. Here's how they responded. And we were just talking through what he was thinking, feeling, what they were thinking, feeling. And my question to him was, I said, so if you were to step back and look at what's happening right then in that moment, where is the Lord in that picture? Like, where is He in the room, and what is He saying? And my point was, He's not absent.
No.
In the midst of that really unpleasant conversation, undesired conversation, the Lord is absolutely right there, and He's present, and He's listening. The Lord listens. Can you imagine, like right now, He can hear the prayers of all of His people worldwide simultaneously and not get frustrated. Like when my kids are all trying to talk at me, it's like, okay, wait a minute, one at a time, hold on. And but the Lord can hear all of that simultaneously and be completely clear and know even better than we're trying to present it in our prayers. He knows what we mean. Anyway, the Lord is absolutely present in our conversations. I think there's a place I guess it's in James maybe, where he's talking about the rich, and he says, hey, just don't forget that the judge is at the door. Like, and what he means, it's almost like, well, whatever you're about to do, just realize the judge is right there. So just be thinking. And so the Lord's presence is certainly a factor in all of that. But let's dial back to what makes it hard to listen a little bit. You talked about pride, but what else? What else makes it hard to listen to another person? Because I mean, there might be somebody right now, a coworker, a family member, a friend, whatever, um, where you just find it really hard to listen to that person. And sometimes it's pride, but sometimes it might not be that.
Yeah.
What other factors can you think of?
You know how you find, I don't want to use the word soulmate, but I will, but you find your kindred spirits in life. You're just like, man, when you meet them, we're like on the same wavelength, and everything you say, I get, and vice versa. And you got things in common, and it's super easy to communicate. They can finish your sentence. You're just like, oh man, this dude is awesome.
Yeah.
Me and my wife are like that. She, awesome. But you meet people like that. But then you also meet other people that you're out of sync with. They're on a different phase shift than you are, and it's just hard to communicate. It's hard to express feelings between. Mm-hmm. And man, to me, communication is something tough. It's incredibly personal. You've got to be careful how you communicate. You've got to make sure it's clear. If you're not getting the normal cues, feedback, head bobbing, I got you, I understand, yeah. It's sometimes it's hard when you are out of shift with this person to be able to listen to them, because our sinful nature has already said, I'm going to get nothing out of this. I've already shut my mind down. I'm thinking about something else when they're talking, because I know this discussion is useless to me. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful approach. Awful.
Yeah. Well, and
I'm guilty of it, right?
Me too.
I'm guilty of it.
Me too. And I think some of the things that come to mind, and I appreciate the way you put all that, a couple of factors that come to my mind. One, if I don't trust a person, it's really hard for me to listen carefully to what they're saying. You know, like they don't have credibility, or, you know, you said you were going to do it, you didn't do it, for whatever reason. But if there's not a level of trust there, I'm a little more suspect. I'm not as attuned to what they're saying. Another thing is that sometimes people have valuable things to say, but man, they just come barreling at you with it, and it's hard to listen to them. They're loud. They're just kind of bullish, if you will. They just kind of like a bull in a china shop. They don't realize all the wreckage, that the stuff they're knocking down around them. And it's hard for me to listen because I feel like they're being careless. It's like you just kind of run over everybody, and they don't listen. And so it's hard for me to listen. And
you may describe me.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to say it, but you know what I mean? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know it has been me. I think we can all be that way at times, bullheaded. But I think those are a couple of other things. Well, so you mentioned something that was interesting, that how do you know if somebody's actually listening to you? You know, you talked about people looking off, or maybe even in your own mind, you're kind of like, you know, I know what they're going to say, or I really don't want to listen, and you get tuned out. Like, how do you know if somebody's listening? How do you know if somebody's actually paying attention and dialed in to what you're saying?
Yeah.
You mentioned kind of head cues and nods, but what else? Like, how do you know if somebody's actually listening?
Well, and I work, so I get these from work relationships. If they're on their phone, or if we're in a meeting, they're having a sidebar with somebody else, I know they're not picking up on what the pertinent points of the discussion are. Eye-to-eye contact, a little bit of feedback. I like two-way discussions. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, you know, let me read back what I think you just said to me. And they tell you, that's you got the idea. Let's execute that. So to me, it's this communication that back and forth, it confirms their listening piece to it.
Yeah, I think the eye contact, body language. You know, if somebody's looking at their phone, or they're off in left field or something like that, then I'm kind of like, I don't know. Are you listening? Are you still here with me? You know, and that kind of stuff. I think the feedback, you know, so this is what I hear you saying, although that can feel kind of mechanical, you know, like if your spouse sits down and they say, now here's what I hear you saying to me. You're kind of like, oh, wow. It kind of feels like dancing while you're saying out loud 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. It just feels very mechanical and kind of stodgy. But I think another thing that that the body language is big. I do think some kind of feedback and interaction is good. The physical cues, the head nods, those kind of things. Those are good. But if somebody's not listening, I find it hard to want to keep talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard a guy say, I thought it was actually a pretty helpful thing, that when he said, if you're in that kind of conversation and you see the person begin to drift, their eyes wander, or they roll their eyes, they're like, ugh, and they don't want to listen to you. He said at that point you can stop, and it wasn't a snarky thing. He wasn't being a jerk when he used this example, but he said at that point, he said, hey, it looks like something else is on your mind. Why don't we talk about that? Like what's on your mind?
That's legit.
Because they ain't listening to what you. They're totally
we're wasting time. Let's focus on what's important to you right now.
Right, and that's what's really going on. Let's talk about that. So, but it's tough. It's tough to do that patiently, because when somebody's not listening to you and you've got something important to say, it's like you want to just grab them by the arm and be like, "Hey, man, like I'm talking to you. You gotta listen to me."
I think that's good. And as I was thinking through this week about my inability to listen and to see and to, more focused on listening to God. There was, I grew up in church, went to church from the time I was born until now, right?
Yeah.
Big void period there in my life where I was just going to church, man. And I did not have this relationship with Christ. Just didn't have it. I was just going to church. I was just this young man that was lost, man. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was working out at this engineering firm in Huntsville back in 87. And there was a gal who was a little older than me who was just radically transformed by Christ.
Wow.
She would read her Bible at lunch, and that's all she wanted to talk about. And I was like, yeah, I believe there's a God. But I was dead, could not listen to this word. She was at lunch eating her little carrots or whatever and reading the Bible, and she sat a cube over me. She said, Jeff, come here. Come here. I went over there, and she's just kind of weeping, reading this passage. I don't even know what the passage was, but I read it. And I thought, yeah, what's wrong with her? I could not listen to that word. I was reading it, it would not sink in. My ears were dead to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was still, in this, this pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, which that's my work mentality. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't work with God, right?
Right.
He's doing the work. Still thinking, I'm good enough. I'm good enough. Look what I've done. I'm comparing myself to Hitler or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then I had this real conversion where I thought, Lord, I can't do this. I can't do this. And then that scripture started coming alive to me. But that's a process, right? That sanctification is a process, because this is how prideful and awful I am, and I don't want to take wisdom and don't want to listen to it. This is awful what I'm fixing to tell you.
Okay.
Man, we would go to this church, and there'd be all these old people there, and this one guy would always say, man, I'm praying for you. And Nathan, for whatever reason, my haughty butt, I would get it would be like this burr under my saddle, like, what are you praying for me for? I got this. I'm gonna pray for you. I don't need you to pray for me. That's how awful my pride was, that thinking I got this. Yeah. I got this. Wrong. That man since passed away. I wish I could. And I knew, because he'd tell me every Sunday. And I'm like, yeah, what are you praying for me for? I ain't got nothing wrong. When my whole life was wrong.
Yeah.
just won't even listen to wise counsel. My spirit was rebellious against it.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So that listening and seeing is a gift of God, right?
Yeah.
I know that's on the higher end of it, but I think as you broke apart my 3-chunk philosophy there between God, family, and friends with the Martha and Mary scenario, that flows down to all three of those relationships.
Mm. Man, I love that story. The reality is that there is listening to God is, on the one hand, we're commanded to do it. On the other hand,
We can't.
you just can't. Apart from His grace, you can't hear it. And
know.
so Jesus is out teaching the multitudes, and He's throughout His ministry, there was a refrain, and He would say, he who has ears to hear, let him hear.
I wrote that down.
And it's just like this. One of the reasons, and there may be people in your life, maybe people in my life, and I know it was me.
Mm-hmm.
I was that person for years that simply wouldn't listen to what the people around me who loved me and wanted to see me going in a different direction. I just wouldn't listen to what they were saying. And it wasn't a matter of me not having the skill of listening or not. It wasn't that. It was that my heart was spiritually dead.
Yeah.
That I just,
Yeah.
I didn't have ears to hear. And by God's grace, somebody praying for me, a lot like what you're talking about, one night, it was
I
like,
was rebellious.
it's like I could hear for the first time my true condition, that I was utterly incapable of rescuing myself from my situation.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I think there was this part of me that thought if I do enough, if I try hard enough, if I do these things, I can get myself out of this. And then the reality just kind of came home in a powerful way. It was as if the Lord gave me eyes to see and ears to hear. And it was a scary, sobering thing to realize who I really was.
The judge is at the door.
Yeah. But then, I hear Jesus standing over Jerusalem. He's saying, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to gather you."
Yes.
He just would not come. His posture is, I'm trying to gather you in. And all these people in Jerusalem are
Chicks under his wings, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't listening, though. So I like your threefold breakdown. Listening to the Lord, listen to your family, listen to friends and coworkers. I like that breakdown. Something that a passage, there's several passages that probably come to mind when we start talking about listening. You probably think about James. I'll turn there and read it so I don't booger it up when I'm trying to quote it. But in James chapter 1, he talks about this. Right? He says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness that God requires." But this idea of being quick to listen, that, quick to listen, help me understand. What is that? Let's just tease that in let's just tease it out rather for just a second. What does it mean to be quick to listen? What does that mean?
The world's greatest mother-in-law, right?
I do. I do know
comes
her.
to church here. Great. Her mother, Mama Deanie, saint. I'm talking saint. Had just spiral-bound books and notes she would take through her life, studying things that she was thinking about with the Lord, journaling with the Lord. Unbelievable woman. Loved her. She taught those kids, and my wife still says it, study to be quiet. I think Dinah told you that one. Study to be quiet.
Wow.
Like, hey, look, you need to listen.
Yeah.
You need to listen to the Lord. You need to listen to wise counsel. And it doesn't come natural. You need to study to be quiet. Focus on the things of the Lord and keep your ears open. Do more listening than you do talking, which is problematic for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, study
to be
You should
quiet.
study to be quiet. Yeah. The idea of being quick to listen, you know, maybe one thing that we could toss in the mix for being quick to listen would be ask good questions. And what I mean is this, and I will say this is one of the reasons why I think that coaching, professional coaching, executive leadership coaching, whatever, coaching can be, in my estimation, as effective or more effective than counseling at times. It's a different function, but coaching is really about using questions in a powerful way. And one of my mentors says we never grow beyond our questions, beyond the questions that we're asking. And so what he means is, if somebody comes to you and they have something really important to talk about, and they share this powerful idea, like your wife says, hey, this is what's bothering me, and we need to deal with it, rather than me saying, that's not true, and going into defense mode or trying to persuade them why that's not the case.
Right.
It's like, help me understand. When did that happen? What did I, tell me more.
Yeah.
And really trying to ask third and fourth and fifth follow-up questions before I'm formulating an answer. It's almost like I need to lay my answer book down for a minute and just put it aside and say, just tell me.
Yeah,
tell me what's going on.
That's right.
And the more I listen, the more questions I ask, the more I really am listening. It's like I'm seeking to understand rather than seeking to be understood. It's like, I want to know what you mean and how that's affected you and when it started and how long it's been going on, and help me see what I'm not seeing and what you see. And that's when we don't do that, when I don't do that. I think what James talks about, what he's warning about, happens.
Yeah.
When we're not quick to listen, but we're quick to speak, we get snarky and defensive, and conflict erupts, and it's not good. It's not a good thing. It brings about anger, an unrighteous kind of anger that just leaves damage in its wake. I may have shared this. I may have shared this in one of our many episodes before this, and if I did, just act like I didn't. Episode 3 here.
Yeah.
So, but just talking about how quickly we can get defensive. Did I say anything to you about the U-bombs? Did I say anything about the U-bombs?
I do not think so.
Oh, well, this is a friend of mine years ago. He's a counselor, and he was saying that one of the things he really warns people about is when they start having these conversations, whether it's with a spouse or a coworker or whatever. He said, you need to avoid the U-bombs, Y-O-U bombs. And it's like, you do this, and you do that, and you did this. And he said, when you start doing that, it's like these Scud missiles.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. And he says, so when you look at the other person, it's like you need to see one of these Middle Eastern cities that's just devastated in rubble. Because your words are just devastating. They have the power of life and death, right? The power of life and death is in the tongue. And so when you start lambasting somebody and just attacking them, it does incredible damage. And so, a lot of times counselors will try to coach people through the process of saying, look, you speak for yourself. Say, look, when this happens, this is how it makes me feel. And I think there's legitimacy to that. Because it just helps you slow down and listen. And it also helps when you're having a hard time talking to somebody. If you can't get past that initial barrier because both of you are kind of locked into a defensive posture, it's really helpful to have a counselor, a friend, a pastor, somebody sit down with you and just kind of be the middleman and help you listen. It's like, okay, now you tell me what's going on, and you, the other person, I want you to listen and take good notes and don't interrupt, and then you talk to this person, then it's like, okay, what did you think about what they said? And it's almost like you're just mediating a conversation where you're trying to help them listen to one another and get clarity.
That's good training right there.
Well, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, so that's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, man, I guess we got to wrap up.
I know.
I guess we got to be done.
Talk longer on this. This is interesting because I'm weak in it for sure.
Yeah, same here. And I know there's a lot of stuff that probably came to mind for you. You were like, how could they talk about listening and not mention this? Well, just put it in the comments, and
Yeah.
we would appreciate it. We're listening. Well, let me say this. Let's give me one call to action. One thing that you really hope people take away from today. What are you hoping somebody takes, or what are you taking away?
Well, of course, the being more cognizant of my listening, particularly with those people who I'm out of phase with.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only will that help me in that relationship, whether it be family, work, whatever, but also it's a good representation of how we should live as Christians, right? Being ears open, and even though you have something at priority to do at work, get that done. The most important thing is that soul right there.
Yeah.
It surpasses the whole world.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm taking away, the story you told about this young lady who started reading the Bible and was just
Dorothy Brown.
You know,
Dorothy, if you're out there, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's a great story. I think for me,
37 years ago, I remember it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, ain't it?
But that's it. I mean, I that story really highlighted for me just what it's like when a person can really hear the voice of God speaking through the scripture. When we begin to hear his voice, it's a beautiful thing. It's a life-changing kind of thing. It's not like listening to Dr. Phil or some other person in the world. You know, you're going, these are the words of life, and it has the power to change my life. And so thank you, Dorothy.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right.
Well, listen, thanks for joining us today on the Sift. We hope that you're taking away something today. If you are, put it in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. And until next time, have a great week.